Hello everyone, and welcome back. That last fish house video I said I would do another question and answer one, and there was a lot of questions I ended up with. Seven pages worth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 7 pages of questions. So I thought I'd get started on this right now. It's a crappy day out there. It's 41 degrees, but it's overcast. It was kind of misty and rainy off and on yesterday. I was doing the maple sap and turning it into syrup. I finished that this morning. Melissa and I, we came out here last weekend, whatever. We didn't really get much done out here. We hung out here for a while. We got a few of these metal signs that, I think this is a freshwater game fish, types of fishing lures, fishing tackle knots, and they're tin, so we'll hang those up. But we didn't do a whole lot as far as finishing cleaning up in the front and everything, but this weekend we're planning on spending some more time out here, so hopefully we'll get some of that done. I still have not got a haircut, but we are down to 7 days, so I have 6 days before the 7th day is my granddaughter Rose's dance recital, so guaranteed to get my hair cut this weekend or this coming week before that happens. So let's just, I'm trying, I don't know how short I can keep this, but this question here, I was going to use names, but a lot of people don't have a name. They have, just a YouTube channel name that I don't even know really what it means or anything. So anyway, does the fish house have a built-in water tank, or do you have to bring water with for sinks and shower? We kind of talked about this a little bit in one of the other videos. It does have a water tank, but you have the option to bring your own 5-gallon stuff up, and it's going to come up again in another question. So these two will kind of go together. And I did show that before. I might as well show it again. Since in the wintertime you're going to be out there, it's going to be cold, so you're usually not going to use this as an RV type, with full water going and everything in the wintertime. We have a couple of trips planned for this thing already this summer, and if summer ever gets here, and then we'll have it hooked up as an RV. But in the wintertime, I can do it if I wanted to, but there is heat that's underneath there. I'll show you where the water tank is and stuff, but still, it's not so much when you're sitting still, it's when you're transporting. If you are, or if you leave it up on the ice, you're not going to leave it 72 degrees in here or whatever, but transporting it a 4-hour drive and it's 30 below zero, it's going to freeze stuff because you can't drive and keep the heat on in here. So this one has the option. I've got this hose right here, which you can either put down the hole if you drill a hole in the ice and drop this down, turn on the pump, and you can get water to the kitchen sink and the bathroom sink, or you could put this into a 5-gallon container or whatever of fresh water and do the same thing. It does not run to the shower. So if we want to run the shower, we would have to do something else in the wintertime. Unless, like I said, if we're going to be up there for a whole week, maybe we do fill up the tanks and do all that, but I really don't see that happening just because the whole winterization of it after the fact from when it sits is so, it's enough work when it's warm out to do it, but I can't imagine doing it when it was super cold out. Because I would never want to put water into the water heater and have everything going. So we will figure out something else for that if we need to take a shower when we're up here or when we're up there fishing and everything. By that time I'll have something else figured out. But it does have all of that. The water tank, the whole works. So I'm kind of covering two things at once right now. This right here is a 40-gallon freshwater tank, and you can fill that up just right from the outside, just like you would with a regular camper. But it also has the, I call it city water hookup, where you can just hook it up to a hose and, completely not have to use this tank. Will we name the fish house? I don't think so. We just call it the fish house, so that's kind of the name. I even asked that To Melissa, and you know, anything we would name it wouldn't be. No, it'll just be the fish house. What size battery does it have, and how will we power it? Solar and batteries. You know, it has one battery, which is right underneath here. And we want to switch that out to have at least 3 batteries, maybe even 4. There's plenty of room underneath there for them. And then a person can figure out if you want to go with, I'm sure this is a lead acid battery, and switch it out to go with the new lithium ion type, which are lighter and everything. So, and we do want to get some solar panels. I don't want to mount them on top of the fish house, but it would be nice to have some for outside that you could charge. You know, just during the day to trickle into those batteries would be nice, because if you were to do a dry camping and you're not in a campground, you don't have grid power, it would just be nice to have that option. But otherwise, like if we're at a campground, of course we're just going to hook up to their 30 amp or a 50 amp plug-in. But we do have the Honda 3000 IS, you know, it's an inverter generator, the real quiet one that I used on it when I ran the Tanton generator all the time. So we have that one, which we would bring with us if we went fishing. I mean, electric start, thing always starts, so quiet. If you're not running a big load on it, it'll run 23 hours on a full tank of gas. That's how long it would run at the tent. You literally have to fill it up a little bit more than one time a day, and it'll run the whole day. And for us in the wintertime, that we aren't using, the only thing that draws a lot usually is like a microwave and air conditioner. A refrigerator, that's, you know, there's electric going to it, but it's running on gas. There's really nothing that uses that much electricity except for those two things. And in the summertime, we would just be hooked up to shore power, so we wouldn't have to worry about it. So we are going to add batteries. We want to have solar panels, probably some that fold up and go down there, and I can just set them outside. But otherwise, we'll be using the generator. Will I use it for duck camp? I got that one a lot, and no, I won't. Duck camp, which started in the, what was it, 1952 or 1953, way before I was born. And it's always been tents up there. I mean, there's been a couple times when there's been a camper. I remember Zach brought up a camper, and I think I remember seeing one in one of the old movies, the black and white movies. Yeah, I don't know, but I will always use a tent until I can't use a tent. And I would haul this up there if my dad couldn't set up a tent. But that's kind of the whole fun part of duck camp. A lot of it is your camp. You know, you set up your camp, you bring all your stuff, and everybody kind of walks around to the different camps and chats, and it's part of, you know, it's not duck hunting, it's duck camp, and you hope you shoot some ducks. So for right now, no, this won't be going up. I would, like I said, I would bring it up if my dad would use it. That's just it though. Even if I brought it up there, he wouldn't use it if he could put up a tent, because, you know, when he first started going up there, they didn't even have a tent. He would have a sleeping bag, and they had a tarp that would fit underneath them. He'd lay on the tarp, canvas that would have been back then, and then get in your sleeping bag and roll it over so the frost wouldn't get on top of you. So well, hopefully I got all that in. I just went and checked and the battery had went dead, so I switched it out. If you leave it on the lake for a week, will the water freeze? If not heated, let's see. Okay, that was, again, talking about the water tank. If I were to leave it on the lake for a week, you know, we go up fishing all ready to go, and then we leave for a week and come back up the next weekend, would the water freeze? It definitely would. I mean, you could keep the heat turned up and open up the cabinet door, and maybe it wouldn't be, but I would never chance it. I've had an RV when I worked in North Dakota. I had a bunch of guys working for me and a bunch of travel trailers out there to house the guys, and then there was a few of us that stayed into the wintertime, and man, you had trouble with frozen lines and heating those up, and then broken lines and having to fix them. And no, I would not leave it on the ice with water in the lines and tank and everything at all. Fishing, no, I wouldn't. When you catch a fish, will you put it in something, or will it be flopping on the floor? So what we're going to do for that, we're trying to get rugs, but they can only be so wide to go between the holes. But what we're going to do is, you know, what do they call? I wrote it down on here because I couldn't think of the boot tray. It's like the size of a little rug, you know, and then the sides go up, and then when you come in the wintertime, you put your boots in it. I suppose if you're in the south, maybe they have them for if you come in and it's muddy. Anyway, it kind of keeps everything in there. So we're going to get a couple of those and put them in here. So, and actually it gets so dang excited when you pull that fish up that I don't even know if you'll, you know, remember that. But I mean, you know, if the fish gets on here, this is indoor, outdoor carpeting, you know, and it's, they couldn't put up with a lot. But I mean, it, you know, it doesn't smell fishy in here at all, but that's what we're planning on doing. How do you set it up on the ice? Do you block it? Okay, so some people do. If you're on the ice, and a lot of people that have hand crank units block them because you have to raise it up again, you know, when you're going to leave, and the fish house will freeze down to the ice. I do think we're going to block it, but only like 1.5 inches. A lot of people, when they do it like that, they'll use a 4x4, but then you have to pack the snow up around the fish house because you don't want that wind to come in. That's the big deal, is keeping the wind out from coming underneath and getting into your holes so you can have a nice warm fish house. So I think we will block it, but with the hydraulic units, you're really not, you don't have to. They say that the hydraulic units will just, you know, pop it right out, but I would still be a little bit leery, especially later in the season when the snow starts to melt, you know, and then you do get a water puddling up around your house. In the middle of the winter when it doesn't even get above freezing, you know, you drop it down on, and this has the spray foamed floor and everything, and it's nothing is really melting. You're going to stay right on there, but you know, I think there's another one that talks about the lifting it up and the hydraulics, and then we're going to cover something else, but yeah, I think we're just going to put a 2x4 flat, so we're raising it up 1.5 inches just to be safe. And when you do that, you need to block it about every 4 or 6 feet around the whole thing. And I guess we'll really figure that out once we get out on the ice, but that's the plan right now. Do you mark the holes and then move the house and then drill? No, that kind of, we covered that before. I'm not that good, you know, so we definitely come in, drop the house, drill all the holes, get everything cleaned up, and then go fishing. Where did Melissa find the camel Crocs? I showed those camel Crocs that she bought me, and I asked her, and she got those from Skechers, so I guess I'm still true to the Sketcher name there. Will we mount the first or biggest fish and put it in the fish house like the grouse feathers at the tent? I don't think so. Because in the summertime it's going to get to be 95 degrees in here, and in the wintertime it's going to get to be 30 below in here. And that's a big temperature change. I mean, at my dad's cabin, look, he's got moose, you know, ducks, pheasants, you know, all that stuff mounted, so it would be fine. But, I mean, maybe if Melissa gets a big one, you know, and we just screw it to the wall, but I would think something like that you'd probably want to keep inside the house. She does want to put up, not kind of like a cork board or whatever, and she wants to get a Polaroid camera out here, so that when we get fish, some big ones, you can take a Polaroid of it and stick it to the cork board, versus having to take it on your phone and then, you know, bring it in and get it printed out and cut out and everything. You can just do it at the moment. Pop the picture, stick it on the board, and you're done. All right, 2 pages done. Does the floor get cold after lowering it on the ice? And no, it doesn't. It's, you know, like I said, spray foamed. You're going to drop it on the ice. The key is to keep the wind out from underneath. So you go ahead and you bank the snow up around the edges so the wind can't come underneath. And then they have skirts. And these are actually quite expensive when you buy the kit for them. But these here go on the outside of the wheel wells. You can see these little things that stick out. So this then hooks into every one of these. So you've got this covered, and then you bank snow up against that also. The whole idea is keep the wind from going underneath here. And these came with the fish house. They don't usually come like when you buy the fish house, but you can order them. They came with it. They're actually quite expensive when you look them up. So I think that we also have sleeves that go inside of here. And I think I'm going to have to cover that in another one, otherwise I'll come back to that. Does it have hydraulics to lift and drop the fish house? This one here does, yeah, like I said, you can get the hand crank ones, which, you know, saves you some money. But with such a big unit, like you've got to crank down this side, then go ahead and crank down the other side, then come back and crank down this side. That's a long way to run when it's really cold out. So we looked for one that had the hydraulic lift to it versus the other one. And I can show that here. How big is it? This would be considered a 28 footer. So it's 28 foot fish house. It's 8 foot, 8.6 or whatever they call it, an 8 by 28. Plus it has the V. So we actually, from that front corner of that point in the bathroom to the back wall, we're 32 feet. But this would be considered, if you're buying one, a 28 footer. But yeah, it does have the hydraulics. And actually they're just like this. It's just a little remote control key fob, whatever it's called, and that runs, just simply says up and down. And that's exactly what it does. If you push up, it comes up just like that. You hook it onto your truck. And this question is going to come up later on in the questions too. Somebody asked, how do you haul it because it's so low to the ground? And you can see, I mean, it's up higher in the back than the front because I'm not hooked onto the truck. And when I put this here, it was on ice. So now it's down farther because all that is melted. But now that I did this, I wanted to show you this. You can see right here, this was where the corner of the house was. Now that I lifted it, it's moved. So if you drill those holes first, it's going to push it back when you're dropping it, and you're going to lose out on that half a hole or whatever that guy had told me when I bought it. And then you just push the button and she drops back down. See what time it is, because Melissa calls me on her way home from work. I got a little bit of time. Somebody from Oregon asked me, is this basically a camper with holes in the floor? Basically that's it. It's the RV edition, so it's got everything a camper would have. I just don't think it has like a black water tank and a gray water tank. I only see, I'll have to look closer, but I think it just has one tank. But I'm not positive. But otherwise, yeah, it's, you know, air conditioning, full water, everything. So basically, yes, it is. One thing that I did explain, because I answered these questions as I was reading them, because sometimes when I do a video, I might not be in the right, like, that same state of mind, like fresh from reading them, which I did with these. But anyway, the only thing different is if this was a camper with holes in the ground, you just watch me lower it down. Campers are up pretty high, and people have done that, but then you have a sleeve that, instead of being this deep, which is about how deep these are, they end up being like this deep, so you're looking way down there, you know, trying to get that in there, and it's really, you think it wouldn't be a big deal, but it is kind of uncomfortable. Metal things on the wall by the holes, what are they for? Seats? I think what they're talking about is there's these rings that are metal things on the wall by the holes. So we've got the lights. Let's take a look at that. So I think he's talking about these rings here and stuff, and but by every hole we've got lights. We have a 12 volt receptacle here, like a cigarette lighter type plug-in, so that if I put, this is for rattle reels, put your rattle reel in here, comes out, and ours are lighted so you can plug them in so the lights are on. I even got a hold of the owner that had it before me and said, what are these for? And he said it was for like his fishing pole, hanging the lure on there. So, I mean, I don't know, like this is another thing that can be used for like a rod holder. They've got them in a couple places. And, but I mean, to put your hook on, you could have just used a little one. But I can see where you would need that. Some of the other places have those, and nothing worse than having your hook just hanging there, especially if you got the dogs in here or cats or anything. So I can see that, but I like this is so heavy duty. It was like, what were you doing in here, you know? What did you need that for? But that's what he said it was for. How many people can it hold safely on the ice? Okay, and obviously this question came from a place that doesn't have ice on their lakes and stuff. So, because they meant, you know, weight-wise, I think, the way I understood the question, because, I mean, safely on the ice. I mean, how many people could it sleep? You can get 2 here, 2 there, there's a bunk 1, a lower bunk 2. So, you know, if you had kids, you could put 4, whatever, you know, that way. But I think they just meant that. And if you're out on 20 inches of ice with a 1-ton diesel and, you know, a 7,000-pound fish house, if you can fit 100 people in here, you're still doing okay. If you're out on that much ice, you're doing good. Maybe keep the lower bed and get a table to eat on. Okay, they were, because in the last video we dropped this down and just left it a bed instead of being the booth. And they had said, get a table to eat on. And it's like, well, this one has the whole second booth right up there. Which right now is just a place to hold things. But yeah, this is where, you know, if it's just the 2 of us, we would sit here to eat. Actually, when you're fishing, you probably have your plate and you're eating wherever you're fishing. But I like this little booth here, I really do. So this is a cute one. I mean, we can still drop this down to a bed again. Like I said, this is a bed. This drops down. We have another bed. Each one has its own window. But yeah, that would be the plan right now. This would be the other table like that they're talking about where we would eat. How often do you check the bearings and stuff? When I bought it, the guy said the bearings had just been packed. He did not use it this last winter, so they were packed that fall before. And he said they do tree removal and stuff like that, so he has machinery there. And he said every time he would go out to do, like, grease the bobcat or the skid steer or whatever, he would come up and grease the pivot points on this thing too. So it would be just like anything else. You're definitely going to want to check it before the season when you're going to use it. Since this can be used year-round, probably want to check it before you take it out that first time in the summer, and then check it in the, you know, and then check it again in the fall before you winterize it, and then use it in the wintertime. So you're just always doing really good with that. What happens if a game warden comes by? Can he search the house? The laws have changed, and I don't know when they were. When years ago, the game warden could just come and walk right in. They didn't have to knock, they didn't have to do anything. I can remember some times when you're out there fishing. I mean, this is back in my partying years when we would go out to the fish house. You know, I had a little 8 by 10, I think it was, and I had the floor and I built it, and then each wall also, and then the roof. So there was all those pieces. Then I had bolts in the corner. We had a wood stove in there. And we did a lot of fishing on that thing. It was fun. It was, you know, nothing like this. It was tiny in comparison, but big in comparison to what most of the stuff you've seen out at that time. And we were out there, and this was back in, you know, in my party days. I'll say that much. And I remember it was me and, I don't know, 1 or 2 buddies were out there fishing. And it was a lake that had a lot of fish houses, so you really don't know what's going on. And he walked in, he opened up the door, and that whole entire thing was just complete thick pot smoke in there. It was, I mean, I haven't touched that stuff in 30 years, but back then I did, and it was like, we're all going to jail, you know, and because it was illegal. It's still illegal, but in Minnesota now, starting in 2 months, it's going to be legal here, and it was like, whatever, I don't want to use it. I have used it, and I find myself couldn't get anything done, so that's why I stopped it 30 years ago. But he never said anything. Checked our license, checked the fish, and he walked out. And that was it. Real nice and everything. And everybody's trying to act straight, you know. But if they do come up, they will knock. And they're not allowed to come into your fish house unless they have a warrant. And I'm sure there are other circumstances where they could come in, but this is just the way I understand it. But you know what? You should be doing everything legally anyway. And people are like, I don't see why they have to bug us. Well, that's their job. You know, you're buying a license, and if everybody was out there doing stuff illegal, fishing wouldn't be what it is, you know. So you're better off to say, come on in, you know, whatever, chat, get the update on what other people are doing for fishing and stuff. And I mean, I'll admit there are some of them that are dicks, you know, but for the most part, and then usually they're the younger ones, but for the most part, they're pretty decent people. And you got to also keep in mind when they come into like your camp or your fish house or whatever, they don't know if you got a 9mm underneath your pillow or anything, you know, you just don't know. So they have to be cautious, and it kind of makes you feel weird because they walk in and they're looking everywhere. They're looking everywhere. And it's like, what are you looking for? You know, he's probably looking to make sure that nobody's going to kill him, you know. Or when we come in this door without knocking, Joni would be, never let him in the door. And Chunky would be right behind him. And everybody that thinks Chunky looks so big and scared, he stands behind Joni. Joni's the one you got to watch out for. That girl, if she does not want you to come in that door, you will not come in that door. And that, no matter if you, whatever, she will not let you in. So, but it's best to just let them in, talk to them. But I don't think that they have the right to barge into your fish house anymore. But yeah, that's what I know about that. What is the holding tank capacity? Is it comparable with the fifth wheel? No, this has a 40-gallon freshwater. And like I said, I'm not sure about what the gray water is yet, or if it has a gray and a black. I believe the fifth wheel has an 80-gallon. And the work camper, that one might have a 40. I'm not real sure. But to be honest, I've never used, I guess for a while, she did use the freshwater one in the fifth wheel. And I did use the freshwater one that last 2 weeks when I used the work camper. Other than that, it's always just been hooked up to whatever water is there. But I think this has a little bit less capacity than a full RV would. Any plans on taking it on long summer trips? Well, we do want to take it out and go camping, you know, but long summer trip we could. That would be awesome. But, you know, work is work. You can't get away. It's like Melissa's work, my work, everything is slower in the wintertime. And that's when you have time to do stuff. In the summertime, it's slammed. It's so busy. So we would like to, but in the summertime, like I said, we have somewhere we can run up for the weekend, possibly get a Friday off, but even that's kind of iffy because things get so busy. But we're definitely going to use it like a camper. When drilling the holes, do you use a gas auger? How do you vent the exhaust? That's why we bought the electric one, because you want to use that. You could do it with the gas one, but you're going to have fumes in here forever. And then you're trying to vent it out with the windows open and it's 20 below zero outside. So that's why we bought the battery operated, what did I say, electric, whatever it is, the battery operated one. Does it have air conditioning so you can use it for the summer? Yep, it's right above the camera there. It's a regular RV AC unit. Should keep it nice and cool in here, especially with this having the Arctic insulation package. It shouldn't take much to cool it, just like it doesn't take a whole lot to warm it. I would add a foam cushion on both beds. Well, we do have the one for up here that she bought, like a mattress top or whatever, and I just haven't put it on there yet. And I didn't even know we had it when I made that bed, because now it's got to come down, remake the bed, and put the pillow top or whatever. She said she thinks it's about 3 inches. And we do want to put one on here too. Get a big enough one, so hopefully it goes into there. Or like she said, she might just buy another queen and we can cut it. It would be short on the edges, but then more pillows and stuff. So that's definitely what we are going to do. Is it a danger to drive over old fishing holes? Does it melt around your fish house? No, you can drive over an old fish hole. You know, the holes are what? 8, 10 inch, some of them are 6 inch, most of them are 10. We bought a 10-inch auger. You can drive over them. It's not that big of a deal at all. Usually you can tell where the houses have been though, when they're kind of off where people drive. Actually, people hate it when people set up on the main drag where people are driving, But you can go over them. It's not, you're not going to fall through or anything. I remember ice fishing when Sarah was just in diapers, and we were out in the fish house fishing, and she fell down, one leg and boot down the hole. But you got to worry about your kids falling through the hole, but you don't have to worry about driving over it. Wouldn't be a bad idea to have a backup buddy heater. I agree with that. We've got the Forced Air. This one has the second furnace. That's a 30,000 BTU. This is a 15,000 BTU. Either one would heat this place, but that one blows it around much more efficiently. And if it was 20 or 30 below, you would want probably, and that one would do it, but it'd be nice to have both. So I will figure this one out. The reason why it smelled like propane, I'll pull that apart this summer and do a good cleaning on it. And other people have said stuff like they had one of these and they had to have a 100-pound tank to have enough LP pressure to not smell like propane, because somebody said that by design, that's why you smell propane when it's getting low on propane, and that's to let you know that it's getting low. But I will go through this one, but I'm also going to have my buddy heater in here, the one that, I take when I go fishing with the portable, because that does put out a lot of heat if you have it, on high. Will we sleep on the top or the bottom? We think we're going to sleep down here most of the time. If we had people over in here or something, we would probably sleep up there, but, drop it down and everything. But this seems to be comfortable enough that if we can both fit on here, though. And like I told Melissa, I said, why can't let her sleep here and let me set that up as a bunk over there and have sleep over there? I mean, why does the person have to sleep together if it's going to be this close together, So we might do that too. Quit stealing my covers, Does this mean less tent trips? No, I don't think it'll mean less tent trips. Melissa and I will be up there in 3 weekends from now. Right now, I will be at the tent right now in, like, today is Friday. Not the following Friday, but the following Friday, I will be at the tent, and she will join me on Saturday. Or maybe Friday night. It all depends on work. If I can get up there Friday. I like to get up there Friday or Thursday night and then do the Jones Act Survival opening the tent video, because my dad comes up to his cabin, but now he has meetings that week too, so he's not sure if he gets to make it up there Thursday night or Friday morning, or if he'll have to wait until Friday night or Saturday. So, but then I do that video, and then when Melissa shows up, then it's opening fishing at the tent, and I do that video. It won't mean less trips. It will just there will just be more trips that we can hopefully get some video on. For a long time we've wanted to go to places like Lake Vermilion, because you can catch crawfish there, and just some of those other lakes, but we just never seem to get it. I don't want to pull that fifth wheel, which is 14,000 pounds, hook that up, unhook everything that's hooked up here for when people are there, and then drive it to stay 1 or 2 nights, and then have to drag it back and then re-hook it all back up. I'd rather that was just set up, and for the work camper, too small to go up there and bring the dogs. So, I mean, it's a nice camper and it has everything, but it's real tight, This one here will be much better for that. So I think there'll be more trips, but I don't think there'll be any less to the tent. I just ran out and called Melissa quick, because terrible cell phone coverage in here. Horrible. And we're going to get some kind of a booster, because everything that, we stream and everything is online, and it's horrible in here. And I thought, well, what if she's headed home for work early or something? But she's not. She'll be there for another hour and a half. Okay, did I finish them all on that other page then? I did. Will I make a DVD holder? Probably not, because they're probably just going to fly out of there. I like them to be inside of a cabinet, because when you're driving, I can just see them flopping. I mean, maybe it runs real smooth in here, but I don't want to come in here every time and there's, 50 DVDs laying on the floor. What advantages do I see, I have to read my own writing here, versus the fifth wheel for summer camping? 7,000 pounds versus 14,000 pounds. Yeah, I mean, I'll admit it, that fifth wheel is nice. I mean, you guys have been in there before. It is absolutely beautiful. Love the rear living setup that it has with the chairs here and the big window and everything. But pulling 7,000 pounds versus 14,000 pounds, and then it's so tall, this is much more comfortable for myself anyway to pull. I don't mind pulling that fifth wheel, but like I said, if I'm just going for a weekend or something, I have no want. If you're going to take it and go for 2 weeks, that's be a different story. But yeah, and this is a bumper pull, not a fifth wheel. So, oh, and it drops down to the ground, so there's no stairs. We can put we're thinking about getting one of those rooms that goes underneath because it's got the power awning, and then make a screen room that goes underneath that, which we thought would be pretty nice. So, and the drawbacks would be this doesn't have any slide outs, but it seems so open even without it. This layout does that. So far we're pretty pleased. Will there be pork steaks and beer with this camper? Yes, I guarantee you there's going to be beer, and there'll probably be some pork steaks if Melissa wants to have one, if we're going to cook them out on the fire. How wide is the fish house? It's, like I said, it's called an 8 by 28, but I think it's 8'6" wide. The legal, as wide as you can be on the road is what these are, so I think it's like 8 or 8'6". Does it have outside storage? It does not have any outside storage, and that's another drawback. I don't know why with this little thingy back here, it's up. Why they didn't do a storage thing underneath there, just to put something like a little charcoal grill or a little gas grill. Like with the fifth wheel, you have so much storage. You can put your lawn chairs and everything underneath it. But then again, you're starting at 14,000 pounds, and by the time you're pulling it down the road, you're 15,000 or 16,000 pounds. So, I mean, that is another drawback, but like my work camper has nothing. First, I did have enough to put my little barbecue. I think I had to take the cover off to fit it in there. And then you've got the place like where you can put the sewer pipe and everything goes in there. So that was nice, but no, it does not have any outside storage. And I think another reason for that is insulation wise, these things are in extreme weather, and that really helps a lot, not having any storage space underneath there that you can open to the outside. How often do you have to change the propane bottles? Well, when I bought it, they said that this one here has 4 30 pounds, 2 for this one, and then 2 for the forced air furnace, and then of course I think that was the same one I imagine that runs the range and the gas cooktop and the refrigerator. And he said that when he went out there, his wife, who did not like to go ice fishing at all, once they bought this house and they went out there, she would stay out there like forever, and he would be sick of fishing and actually go home for a few days and come back up, and she would stay up here and fish. I think they were at Red Lake. But he said that the 2 tanks, main furnace with 2 30-pound tanks, about 5 days if he had it at 72 degrees. And with this other one here, it goes a very long time, because this is 15,000 BTUs. It's a secondary furnace. It's not hooked up to anything else. So we had it hooked up here, the 2 tanks, and when it was chillier out and we kept the heat on, we got about a week out of it. So definitely want to have like the 4, and I would want to have 2 extra tanks always with me just in case. But there's not a lot of times where we can spend a whole entire week up north fishing. But in the wintertime, the next year, we are planning on doing that. That might be my last question. Oh, another page. One more page. Please tell Melissa to keep the 2 little pillows. I had a lot of people that commented on those pillows, and for those of you that didn't watch that video, she bought this bedding set, which color-wise isn't that bad. I thought it was gray, but I think she said it was kind of blue. I'm colorblind, so you never know with me. And she was going to send it back because it has these 2 little throw pillows. This one right here, which is kind of white and fuzzy, and that one over there that looks like a disco ball. But I threw them up here and said, well, you know, if she wants to throw them out, she can. And she did say we'll probably just keep them. Has Melissa's family expressed an interest in coming up to visit in the summer? Her mom has not. Her daughter and those 3 grandkids and her husband, I suppose, they would like to come up here, but traveling up here, I mean, it's 1,400 miles, and they have like 2 or 3 dogs they would have to take with them, the 3 kids, and they do have a big, really, really nice RV. If you guys watch that video on As the Rooster Crows, Melissa stayed in their RV when she went down there for the Louisiana trip. And they could pull it, but I mean, that's a long ways to pull an RV. And when you have, it's a 5th wheel, so you're all crammed in the truck. And it's a big truck. It was like a ambulance that he turned into a vehicle to pull it. So I mean, there's plenty of space in there, but still, 2 or 3 dogs, 3 kids, 2 adults, driving that far, is, that's just not going to work. You're going to have to stop probably 2 different nights coming up, and then flying that far. They don't have anybody to watch the dogs, so it just becomes a hassle. We would hope that they would come up, or, because nobody has come up here to visit. Nobody has been up here, and her mom doesn't seem to show any interest in wanting to come up, which is sad. Melissa would really like for her to come up here, but when she was younger, when she was a kid, she visited, I don't know if it was Minnesota, I think it was Wisconsin maybe, and it was in the wintertime with the snow, and she absolutely hated it. So yeah, we don't seem to be getting anything. We've offered many times, hey, the 5th wheel's here, fly on up. I mean, it's only a 2 hour, and depending on what flight you take, 2 hours and 38 or 2 hours and 45 minutes. Pick them up at the airport, buzz her up here, stay in the 5th wheel, stay a week, whatever, a few days, and then drive you back and fly back home. But she hasn't shown any interest in that yet, so we'll see what happens. What happens if the ice breaks while you are sleeping? You're dead. That's it, you're done. So that's why you make sure there's enough ice on the lake. Oh, yes, I need a haircut. I must have got a comment in there saying I've gotten plenty of them and I need a haircut, and like I explained, I do. So this is the last question that I had. How does the flooring not get damaged from water and fish slime? Does the camper come with amenities for fish storage and processing your catch? Well, I'm reading what else I wrote here. The floor itself, they put green treated plywood down, and then this is that outdoor carpeting, and it's glued down. So, that's got a waterproof bottom. And this stuff dries out really fast. I mean, this is what it was built for, so we don't have any problem with that. But like we said, we're going to get one of those things that, like the boot thing, so that if you can throw the fish in there and, and then pick it up and do the measuring, get it unhooked and everything, and get it back into the water. And for fish storage, when we catch a fish in the summertime, we wouldn't have this on the ice, so it's just like regular fishing. Here we put it on like a stringer. Down in Louisiana, they like to throw them in a cooler. So up here we just put them on a stringer for now. In the wintertime, you catch your fish, you throw it outside on the ice, so. And as far as processing your catch, you can do it wherever. You can put a table outside, or you can do it inside. And you can look up online for these wheelhouse fish houses, and watch video after video and see them doing it, cleaning the fish right inside here or right outside, and then frying them up. So yeah, I think that takes care of that. The only other thing, I don't know if I showed it before, and we did talk about it a little bit, like, after you drill the hole, and we want to keep the wind out, so we're going to put those skirts on to keep the wind from coming in where the tires are. Before they had those, you used to have to take and throw the snow around that whole entire thingy in there, and you're trying to get a shovel when it's dropped down, and it's really hard to do. Plus your freezing all the tires and stuff down in too. So with those skirts, it's real nice. But even after you're all done with that, and you pop these holes open, we have these skirts that will go down into the hole. Even right now it's down, you know, nothing's banked. I can put my hand underneath here and feel the wind. Wind is your biggest enemy out here as far as keeping it, you know, nice and warm. So you got the skirts on, you got everything banked up and everything, and then you get your holes drilled, and then you drop this down, and these are set up so that you would have a 4-inch block underneath your fish house. If you're not going to block it, you need to cut these shorter. And these are glow in the dark. And then, you know, you'll, even after you drill your hole, you're still going to have some ice that's built up down there. So this pushes down into it, and then you clean this out, and that other ice that from drilling the hole is around the outside. And it's just another layer of protection to keep that wind from getting into the fish house. They even make things that you put in here that are insulated to keep it even warmer. But if, you know, if you can keep the wind out the way this thing's insulated, this thing will be nice and warm. Okay everyone, well, thanks a lot for watching. I don't know how long this video is going to be, but at least I got all of the questions that were up so far. If there's any other ones that come up, I'll definitely add them into other videos. But yeah, Melissa and I are trying to plan some trips. The problem, I don't know if it's like this in every state, but in this state, you know, you've basically got from Memorial Day to Labor Day. That's what's considered summer up here. School's out just about by Memorial, and they're back in just about by Labor Day. And trying to get a campsite is literally impossible. Some of these places are booked out for 2 years. And so we were looking to okay, like, where can we bring this? Like, you know, 2 weekends from now we'll be at the tent. What about if we took it somewhere Memorial weekend? No. No. Not, I mean, during the week you can probably get a few days, but we looked at this one place that we want to go up north. I've always wanted to fish on that lake and stuff, and so we're looking at it. So it's like, okay, well, let's check July and August. Nothing available. Everything, even during the week, sold out. And then when you get into September, well then, there was some openings for, you know, something with a 30 amp that I can pull something this big into. It wouldn't even have sewer, but it would have water and electric, so we'd have to like dry camp with the sewer and dump it when we get home into the back dump that we have for it, like the RV dump, or if they have one right on site there, we could dump it. But yeah, so we had, and then I was looking at we're still trying to figure that out, because I think like the 9th, right around the 9th is a weekend, and then right around the 16th, and then like say the 29th or whatever it is, those 3 weeks. Well, the 15th or 16th, whatever the weekend that is grouse hunting opener. The weekend after that is duck hunting opener. Well, I don't always go up to the tent for grouse hunting opener, but like last year I did not make it to grouse opener, but I wanted to, but something was going on. So, and there was one site that we really liked, and that is not open on that like 9th or whatever weekend. So I don't know, during the summer here maybe she'll have to pull a couple of days off work if possible, and we can go somewhere during the week where we can get one, or who knows, or try to find something just close by to run it up, you know, on a lake, because there's so many lakes in this state, you know, and most of them have a campground. So, but yeah, we're checking it out. We're definitely going to get it out there. Hopefully that answered everybody's questions. If you have any other ones, leave them in the comments. I'll see you guys on the next video.